This is a place.
This is the place.
This is a place. We want to talk about. This is a place.
Thank you for listening to This is a Place podcast. My name is Brandon, and I'm joined by a man who is not a morning person unless it's on Black Friday. Nate.
Definitely not a morning person, but I will get up for a good deal. You know me and deals, right?
You and your deals,
I love
man.
a good deal. Even though I don't need the thing, I'll buy it if it's a good deal.
You just got a good deal, didn't you?
On
a laptop?
Oh, you bet. Yeah, this year it's going to be a little different with the Black Friday going on. Most people are doing it online, so don't even have to get up. Just turn on your computer.
Just have your Amazon cart ready.
There you go. So, well, I'm super excited for this episode for two reasons. One, the topic. It's going to be fun to chat about what our subject is for today. But two, we have some awesome guests on our episode for today. A couple guys that have been messing with us for a while. And we thought we would bring them on our podcast to clear the air.
Hey.
So thought we'd do a little Jerry Springer style podcast. Yeah.
You are not the father. Oh, no, that's Maury.
That's
Sorry.
Maury, yeah. But so we have another local podcast called Messin with Mormons, who brought us on their podcast a few months ago, and we thought we'd have them on for this one since they have a little bit of knowledge of the subject. So
yeah, and they just hit their 3-year anniversary too, so congrats to you guys.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
So do you guys want to introduce yourselves and who you are and what your podcast is all about?
Sure, yeah. I'm CD. Our podcast, it's basically, we like to highlight local businesses and artists and musicians and just cool people. And you guys kind of fall into a couple of those categories, obviously cool people and podcasts. And so...
We're artists as well.
Yes, yeah. Someone told us that. Like, don't be so hard on yourself.
I'll bring my paintings next time.
Yeah, you're an artist too. You're a podcast artist. But yeah, so anyway, I'm CD and...
I'm Chez, and I'm kind of the fact checker on the show. And unlike our name, we really don't mess with Mormons. It was just kind of a catchy name CD came up with, so it's kind of where we are from there. They kind of refer to me as the podcast dad. I try to keep these guys in line. So
yeah, and also the fact checker.
Yeah.
My name is Wade, and I'm kind of behind the scenes. I do the recording and the producing. I guess you guys would consider me the producer, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, I'm the producer.
Yeah, you're the Dr. Dre of the podcast.
Yep, I'm the Brandon.
You're the Brandon of our podcast. The guys that make it sound like we know what we're doing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's just not mention the fact that I just had no clue what we were doing for the last 20 minutes.
Are we going to talk about that?
Nah. Wait, so you're saying you're the Brandon of the podcast?
Yeah.
After I called you the Dr. Dre?
You didn't call me Dr. Dre.
No offense, bro, but Dr. Dre, that's a...
All right, so Brandon, you're also Dr. Dre
Yeah,
Jr.
I'm alive, though.
You're younger than Wade.
Dr.
so-
Dre's alive.
Is he?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
He's got $1 billion. He just sold Beats by
No,
Dre.
he's dead in my basement. Come on. Eminem?
Gotcha. Okay,
Yeah.
I need
That's
to
right, he
listen to
did
more hip-hop music.
He did help Eminem get started, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
No,
I
he
guess-
completely started Eminem. I think he found him. He found Eminem. Eminem found 50 Cent.
50 Cent found the...
Who found Justin Bieber then?
50 Cent? No, I think it was. No, Usher
it was-
found it.
Yeah, Usher.
Usher
Right,
found
right.
Justin
All
Bieber.
right.
Come on. Yeah.
Well, who's going to find us? I'm still
Joe
waiting.
Rogan.
Post Malone. Come on, make us famous.
Yeah. Been hanging out at 7-Eleven for months, and he still hasn't shown up. So.
Maybe he'll buy another Subaru. I've been hanging out at the Subaru dealership forever. Hoping
I
to
hear
run
he
into-
likes that chicken finger store off of, is that 45th?
Mr. Charlie's Chicken, yeah.
Something like that. So we'll reach out
That
to
might be
Post
our
Malone.
connection to Post Malone.
Or might
actually.
just get some good chicken.
Get some
Yeah,
good
that's the
chicken.
worst case scenario is you just get great chicken.
You guys been there before?
It's a win-win, right?
No, I've heard about it. I've heard good things. Charlie Chow's, right?
Mr. Charlie's Chicken.
Mr. Charlie's.
Yep.
There's a Chinese restaurant downtown called Charlie Chow's, and that's what I was thinking of. That place is good. But yeah, it's not nowhere near 45th South.
No one. Well, should we dive into our subject at hand for today?
Yeah, we started with a Black Friday joke because one Black Friday's coming up, and part of that we thought it would be good to talk about a place that people used to spend their Black Fridays.
That's
It's
true.
going to be different this year.
Growing
anyway.
up when Black Friday hit, like the mall is what kind of comes to my mind, even though nowadays it's turned into Best Buy, Walmart, Target, and standing in the cold,
camping. It's crazy.
So
The mall is a lot more comfortable. But,
Oh yeah, it's a huge building. How much do you think the heating bill for a building that size is, like during the winter?
at least $20.
Yeah,
not more.
At least.
At least.
Minimum. But so you guys grew up in the valley, right?
Yeah, I grew
Yeah.
up in Holiday, actually, and so did Chez. We grew up, our neighborhoods, we were pretty close to each other, and we were right across from Cottonwood Mall.
Yeah, 10-minute bike ride.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think we said it. So we're
yeah.
doing the Cottonwood Mall. So there's lots of malls.
If you didn't
Or
read
was
the
one.
topic.
Yeah.
Oh,
The
sorry.
subject.
Yeah.
Here's the spoiler. Cottonwood Mall is what we're doing.
I love
You
how
didn't
we
click on it.
try to keep it a surprise what the subject is they didn't read before they clicked
Yeah.
on the episode, right?
That's what you got
So,
to do one episode. Just talk about a place, but never give the name.
Yeah.
And see who figures out what place you're talking about by the end of the show.
That one person that didn't look before they just automatically start on their podcast app, right?
Do a,
Well, no, you
Like,
just do
what?
question marks for your title.
Oh, okay.
Mystery.
do a
episode.
contest.
A
The first person that
mystery.
tells the subject wins, right?
And comment below
Yeah.
and
Comment
tell us
below.
which.
Hit the like button below.
Hopefully the mystery place isn't jail.
Yeah.
Well, the meals weren't very good. We got 3 squares a day.
3 squares in a cot.
Nothing but gruel.
So
Which was definitely the opposite of
Yeah.
the awesome stories they had in the Cottonwood Mall food court. I'll tell you that much.
there's a producer for you right there. Bring you
I'm
back.
taking a break today because we got
Bring
Wade over here doing it for me. So
Yeah, that's right. Brandon's usually the one that keeps me on check because I can talk. That's for sure. There's no doubt that I can talk. And
it's likely this could be a long episode because there's 5 of us here, and with just Nate and myself, we end up going way longer than we should. But we should also point out that the audio quality is going to be really great in this episode because the crew here has been kind enough.
hold
to
on,
let
hold
us-
on. Should we even say where we're at?
What?
It's a King. What's his name? What's the governor's name? King Herbert. Is he
Oh.
gonna
Yeah.
know?
This is a business,
Is he gonna
though.
find out?
This is a business,
And there's less than 10 people.
and we're wearing
Yeah.
masks,
And we're wearing masks, and there's less than 10 people.
and we're 6
Yeah.
feet. So
Well,
we're
I
good.
did.
Sorry.
I did sanitize the studio down. I
Yeah.
did that in
That's
between
true.
every show.
And you took our temperatures before we came
Yeah.
in, so we're good.
Okay.
We don't need to worry about herbs.
And CD was kind enough to give me a test. He stuck a Q-tip up my nose.
Yeah, sorry about that. We call that the brain scramble. Nothing like starting the podcast with a little brain scramble.
Still waiting on my results.
Yeah.
CD.
But the Cottonwood Mall, right?
Cottonwood
Yeah.
Mall. Back to segue back.
I could tell you a story about every single, I guess you'd call it like food place or restaurant in the Cottonwood Mall. Like
List them off.
Wayne's Mongolian barbecue.
Okay.
Oh my gosh. I thought they were giving me soap. And I kept on returning Wayne's Mongolian barbecue because it's like Mongolian barbecue. It's the skewers and it's like Chinese food. And I kept on like, this is soap. Send it back and they'd make
Did
me a
it
new one.
taste like soap?
It was ginger, bro. I had no idea. They were putting in these huge chunks of raw ginger, and I didn't realize that's just what ginger tastes like. It tastes like soap. I like ginger, but
In hindsight, yeah.
when you have
So
like a
when
big,
were you tasting soap to know what soap tastes like?
I had a potty mouth growing up. My mom, she let me know what soap tastes like. Ivory, Irish Spring, Dove.
Which tasted the best?
Oh, I'd probably say Irish Spring because it was a little more harder, so it wasn't as waxy. You didn't it didn't slough off as much in your mouth. I'm just mostly joking.
No, you got to keep going with restaurants, though.
Sabaro.
Sabaro.
Yeah.
Those
Class-
still are around.
Authentic
making city
New
food.
York slice
Yeah.
from
Yeah.
Sbarro.
Orange Julius, man. I'm telling you, I don't even know if the Orange Juliuses are around, but those Orange
they are.
Julius,
Well-
like the orange drinks, the
Yeah.
whatever, Orange Julius smoothie.
Can you have a mall without an orange Julius, right?
Yeah, I
don't
think it's a
think-
requirement.
Yeah.
And a hot dog on a stick.
That's
Hot
what I was
dog
going to
on
say. The
stick.
hot dog on the stick, watching the girls make the lemonade.
Yeah. It was,
That took a turn real quick.
well, it's every teenage boy's dream
Yeah,
come true
yeah.
to go down
So
to the.
that's why they hung out at the mall.
But that particular entrance in the Cottonwood Mall, that was the hot spot because that's where everyone ate. And usually, when we get off at lunch break for school, you'd head up the Cottonwood Mall, go get some lunch. But also there was the arcade,
Yes.
Deal.
and it was the best arcade. Like the Cruising USA, where you actually get into the car and the car would move and stuff. That was dope. And I think that was one of the only places in town that even had that game. And to this day, if you guys ever find a Cruising USA, I challenge you that you can't beat my best time in the Sacramento Death Valley in a Jeep.
What was your best time?
I don't know, a minute and 39 seconds. I can't remember that far away.
Oh,
but
well, you
I
How are we
just
going to
can't
beat you,
tell.
though,
Yeah.
if you don't
I
tell
could-
us what time
I could
it was?
I could drive that blindfolded. I spent so much time in the
I
Cottonwood
have the
Mall.
game on my N64 if you want to.
Cruising USA.
It
Yeah.
wasn't
They
the
got it
same,
on
though.
N64.
It wasn't the same as the arcade.
It's not the
though.
No.
same,
Yeah.
but still a good game.
Cruising, yeah.
You have the girls walk out with the flags.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And there's
yeah.
always a line at the Mortal Kombat machine in the arcade for some reason. You're like, ugh.
That in
This is how-
Street Fighter 2.
Yeah.
Remember that? Do you
Yeah.
remember putting your quarter up on the machine like I got
Yeah.
next?
Yeah. That's saving your turn, dude.
Have you guys been doing arcade recently? Like, it's completely different than back
Well-
then. It's all VR. They've got like Candy Crush is like one of the games.
Oh no.
Are you talking
Names
like
around.
Dave and Buster's
no.
type places?
I've been to other arcades that is similar. Like, there's still arcade games, but the majority of they're kind of going that
Yeah.
VR kind of way.
I
with
passed
things.
I passed by the Nickel-Rama or the Nickelcade or whatever it's called these days every once in a while, and I've spent plenty of time in the Nickelcades or whatever. But those machines, they're just so old. I don't know. Are there any up to date arcades? I would
Yeah.
go there in a heartbeat.
Well,
I would-
it's turned into like tickets, right? And
Yeah.
getting prizes.
Yeah.
Where it wasn't that big of a deal, I don't believe, back in our
If
era.
you knew the ticket guy, the guy that worked at, because there was someone that worked at the arcade because they had to have someone that collected the tickets if you wanted to exchange them
Yeah,
for a
you get it
prize.
for like a blow up baseball bat or something.
His name was Tom. I swear, like no one else worked at the arcade except for Tom. Tom Alsop. Just kidding. Tom, if you're listening to the show, reach out to me, cdreddish@gmail.com. Just kidding. But Tom, if you knew Tom, your tickets always came up a little heavy.
Yeah.
You can get that.
You were just hustling back and
you get that like plastic back scratcher.
1,000 tickets. Cost you $100.
So, what were the years you guys were going to the Cottonwood Mall? Like the peak years?
I'd say for me the best was my teenage years.
I'd say 95 to 2000.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit younger than those guys, so I don't really have really vivid memories of Cottonwood Mall, but I know that I've been there a bunch. It was like on the way between my parents and my grandma's house was right there, so stopped all the time. I vaguely remember the fountain in the food court.
There was also, you got to remember, there's a lot of peripheral businesses that came along with the Cottonwood Mall as well. There's 3 movie theaters around the Cottonwood Mall. There's one actually at the Cottonwood Mall. It wasn't
I think
actually.
it was the Man Theater, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
It wasn't.
I think it was Man Theater and Man
The
Theater
one,
right
yeah,
across the
there's
street.
one like a dollar theater outside, or was it
Yeah.
a dollar theater?
no.
Yeah, it only had two. It only had two. The one in the right by the mall only had I think 2 screens.
Yeah, and then there was one across the street, and then there was another one on the other across the street, the Cineplex, and that was like the newer one or whatever.
Yeah,
and they
which
had
is
the fancy
now
escalator.
the
Ooh.
Megaplex, right?
Yeah, it's a Miller one.
But you also had TGI Fridays, and that place, I mean, I remember going to TGI Fridays for the first time. I'm like, Mom, look at all this stuff on the wall. This is cool. And now you can't pay me money to go to an Applebee's or a TGI Fridays. Heck no. But the other place,
I was just saying that to my wife the other day. And I'm like,
really?
remember in high school where you're like, oh, Applebee's is awesome. And now you're like,
No.
do we have to?
no, the 2 for $20, not my
Buy
style.
local.
Sorry, no offense.
Buy local.
Yeah.
No offense if you guys like Applebee's or TGI Fridays. The other one, my personal favorite, there was a dance club. Do you guys remember the dance club?
Oh,
The
really?
Lighthouse.
I
Did you guys pull that up in your research?
I did not find anything about the dance club. no.
yes.
Yeah, I think for a while it was called the Power Plant, and then I don't know if that was before or after.
I think it was after.
Yeah, but it was basically behind the mall, like tucked back in
It was
the
a green building.
in the far reaches of the parking lot, and there was a big green building, and they turned it into a nightclub, but it was
Like an under 18 dance club.
Oh, really?
I've
Yeah.
never heard
It
about
was-
this at all.
yeah, it was.
Yeah, I
it
actually
was
knew
a-
the guy who owned it. So.
Yeah, it was like a Mormon standards nightclub. So, and I think they had an over 18 night, but there was an under 18 night, and you dance, and if you got too close, and you got to make sure you can fit a Bible in between your bodies. But yeah, I spent a lot of time at the Lighthouse. I'd ride down there. I'd sneak out of my house and go ride down on my bike as fast as I can, like it's like I was in an ET. Yeah. And oh yeah, the Lighthouse, man. I have so many fond memories of that place. The Cottonwood Mall, just in general, that whole area. It's just it's awesome.
So I should qualify myself that I have one single memory from the Cottonwood Mall. It was Christmas time, and I remember seeing Santa there. And I remember it because there was the elevator. So it had like it was like a tower elevator, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, right in the middle of the mall.
Right in the middle. And the line wrapped around there. And that's the only memory. It was like probably one of my earliest memories. My grandpa worked at the Cottonwood Mall. There used to be an Albertsons there.
Did you guys know that? There used
It
to
was
be
a kitty corner from the
No, it was actually
in the
mall.
It was
right?
in the mall, and then it.
What?
That's where I've learned that just recently too. But yeah,
I
it
didn't
was.
know that.
So the
It
mall
was in the mall, and then it moved a kitty corner to it.
When did the mall open?
So it opened in 1962. So that's when they put in the Albertsons. That was like one of the first things in the mall. And he worked there during that time. But
And Cottonwood was the first Utah mall, right?
Well, it was first large indoor shopping mall.
Okay.
In Utah.
As if they had
Fact
like a
checker.
big outdoor
That's why
one
we
or
have them.
something. Did they have a big outdoor mall, or was
Well,
it just
now
strip
they're all
malls?
outdoor again.
Yeah,
you
I know, right?
Gateway.
Which I don't understand. The
City
gateway, like California, great, but Utah, where you can only use it really
Yeah.
7 months of the year.
Yeah.
Anyways,
I mean, you can. I guess you can use it year round, but yeah, it's.
oh, it's so cold.
Probably
in the
trying to
winter.
save on that heating bill.
There you go.
Outside.
There you go.
Exactly.
Yes.
Everybody pays their own,
Yep.
right? So
we were talking a little earlier, though, about how, malls are still staying alive here in Utah. Maybe across the rest of the states, they're not doing as well, but we've got Fashion, we got Southtown. They're still thriving, but we're speculating that maybe the reason why the Cottonwood Mall had so much troubles was just because it doesn't have the same access as these others do, like a freeway right next to it.
Yeah, Cottonwood Mall's right in the middle of suburbia. It's right in the middle of a. Yeah, there's no freeway access even close. I know I've speculated about a lot of things over the years about the downfall of the mall, and obviously big box stores and online shopping, and even now it's like I think everything this year is going to be online shopping. I can't imagine the malls are going to all malls, even the ones that are thriving, are going to be hurting this year.
Yeah, I know a lot of it has to do with the big stores on the end of it. Like you have the Macy's and the JCPenney and all that stuff. Those are called the anchor stores, which are paying majority of the money to whoever owns the land. But then once those stores in between start falling off, you like
People
the
stop
big,
going to
That's
the
already
big box
starting.
stores. Yeah, they don't want. They're like, why is it up to me to pay for everybody if all of it's vacant? And so
They don't want to pay for the person coming to try to
Yeah.
sell you face scrub and things like that.
yeah.
Well, and also like cell phones, they've got the T-Mobile stand and the Verizon stand and the Sprint stand and the AT&T stand, and they put them all next to each other, which is, you obviously want all those companies in there to not only have, mall space, renting out your space, but maybe space them out a little bit.
I think they do
They're-
nowadays.
Yeah, I mean, when they all four of them are next to each other, it's just, like, would you like this Pepper Ridge Farm beef stick? And then next door is like, would you like this other kind of beef jerky? And then
Slim Jim.
Yeah, and it just seems like poor planning. And I don't know if someone's in charge of that. Do you put a Gap next to a Banana Republic? Even though I think they're probably owned by the same company.
They are.
But you know what I mean? Like, maybe put these things on different sides of the mall or space them out a little better, You do put a Foot Locker next to a Big Five shoe or whatever. I don't know. I can't think of another shoe place, but
well, there was Foot Locker, and then across the way was another. I can't remember what it was called.
That's what I'm trying to remember. What was the other?
just why would you want to put two shoe
I'm telling
places
you why,
next to each other?
because direct competition. I'm sure it was like the mall's like, well, which space do you want? They're like this one. Even there's another shoe store right there, but
Is it Baker's
when
shoes?
you're
What's that?
Is it Baker's shoes?
No, it was like a Foot Locker.
Baker's was a more upscale.
That was like casual, business
Yeah.
casuals type stuff. But it was another,
Like-
because I remember going there when I was 19 and buying some sneakers that were Denver Bronco
Well, and the
colors.
Foot Locker had the prime position because it was right in there. You're walking in that main door. There was Foot Locker straight ahead.
Yeah, as soon as you got out of the food court, that was the first store you saw.
To Wade's point, though, it's like you look as we're driving. There's 7-Eleven on this corner and a Maverick on the other corner.
Or 7-Eleven, 7-Eleven.
Yeah.
because let's say you go into the Foot Locker and then you're in a hurry, you're going to go to the next shoe store right next door if they don't have what you want.
So I'm sure
As
they
opposed to
complement
walking.
each
Makes it a lot
other,
easier,
right?
Yeah.
Downtown, there's the Double Sinclair.
Yeah, it's
Like, why
easier to
would
turn
you-
right.
Yeah, why would you have two Sinclairs right across from each other? I don't know. I'm not a marketing genius. Maybe that's just one small thing. It's probably a combination of a lot of things, but do you, for anyone that remembers, do you guys have any? Do you have a favorite store that you used to like to go to?
I always ate at Pretzel Time.
Pretzel maker.
Pretzel maker, that's what it
Yeah,
was.
on the second story.
Dude, if I was at the mall, I was getting a pretzel. That's like that just transports me like way back to my
Cinnamon
childhood.
sugar pretzel
The
from the
smell
pretzel
is the
maker.
mall.
It was right outside of the ZCMI too, and then it was Meyer and Frank.
ZCMI.
Before that, it was Weinstocks. Remember Weinstocks? It was Weinstocks, and then ZCMI.
Weinstocks, or was it Woolworth?
Woolworth.
And
I think it was Woolworth.
It was It might have been Woolworth before Weinstocks, but I know it was a Weinstocks for a while because I don't even know I've never even heard of Weinstocks. What's
no.
a Weinstock?
So it was ECMI was the first one in there. Then it was which became Meyer and Frank.
Before it was ZCMI, it was Weinstocks.
CCMI opened in
opened.
62 with the mall.
Really? What am I seeing? What am I remembering
thinking
Weinstocks
of-
from?
The one that Brandon already said. What was it? Woolworth?
Woolworth, yeah.
I think I just Mandela effect myself.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And Woolworth was the last of the Utah locations. I never even heard of Woolworth before the
neither.
research, but it was the last Utah location when that one closed. So
Woolworth was a huge corporation.
are they
What
still
year did you
around?
say the mall closed total? What was it?
So it started closing. They started making plans of doing something different with the mall property in 2007, and then looks like officially closed in 2008, with the exception of the Macy's store that remained for a little while. But
Yeah. I remember probably around 2006-ish, I was just in the area. And so I thought, hey, I'm going to stop in for nostalgic reasons. And there was nobody in the parking lot. I walk in the building. It was like a ghost town. Half the shops were shut down. I'm thinking, am I supposed to be in here? Is Paul Blart going to come in and arrest me for being in here? So it was crazy that it just basically died, which back in our youth, that was a hopping place, right?
Yeah, my boy Sam, he got his hair cut there his entire life, his whole life. He's 38 years old. They had a barber shop in there that had the actual, like, the barber candy cane swirling barber thingy.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, it's just things like that. Like, that man watched him graduate high school, saw him go through the Boy Scouts. That barber, got to hear about his first girlfriend, and then
That was just gone.
It's gone.
went away. It's sad.
Was that weird to anybody else too? That it was just that weird windowless Macy's building for so long in this giant empty lot.
Right.
Like,
Right.
it made me not want to ever go in there because I'm like, that's just weird.
It's not very aesthetic. I mean, Macy's isn't a bad. I can't tell you how many socks I bought at Macy's. It's a great place to go shopping, but yeah, it's just not very appeasing to the eye. Because when you go to like you said, when you go to a place, a store or a restaurant, and you walk in and it's empty, it's almost like it's probably empty for a reason.
Do we know when? So the mall basically shut down in 2008, but do we know when Macy's finally gave up?
2017.
So not
Not
too
that
long
long
ago.
ago.
So
Yeah.
I think that they had really high hopes that they were going to be building a giant tower of apartments there, like 775
Well,
units.
like a mixed
and-
use development.
Yeah,
It was
and a
gonna
lot
be-
of commercial area. But like, then that just that old Macy's Square in the middle of that, like it's all brand new.
They were
And
just holding on, like, come on, guys.
Yeah.
So yeah, what's going on with it now? And you said they were going to put in a big apartment building or whatever, but
they're trying
So
to.
it was.
it's been a lot of things.
Yeah, I know
lot of
Ivory
plans.
Homes a few years ago had a big development, which Wade was probably referring to,
Yeah.
and they went through about 10, from what I understand from the land acquisition manager, is that they went through all the city planning, did all their 10 council meetings or whatever, got everything approved, and somebody on Facebook heard about it and started making a fuss and shut it down pretty quick. So
yeah, I think a lot of people get concerned about high density traffic. So, if you put in 700 units of condos or apartments, now you've brought basically
twice as many cars
at
if two
least-
adults live in
Yeah,
them.
Right.
At least 700 or more people into the neighborhood traffic. The stores get busier. The roads get busier.
What
the roads
south is that on right there on the
Murray-
north side?
It's about
Murray Holiday Road's
48.
4800 south.
40. Could you
Yeah.
imagine how wide 4800 south would have to be?
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's
take
already
out everything over there
The
to
other
even make it wide enough to
Yeah.
people travel.
Yeah.
The other thing about Holiday that I know just from experience, because I have family that live in Holiday, it's a booming area. There's a lot of money. It's like a high price real estate. So people are trying to build these big, beautiful homes, and they're going into Old Holiday and they're bulldozing the old homes because the property is worth more than the actual home.
Right.
So they're bulldozing the properties and they're building these monstrosities. Well, people started losing their, like, they go out to look on their patio to cook a steak and the barbecue, and now they can't see the sunset because there's a giant house.
You can't see the mountains.
Yeah,
Right.
or they can't see the mountains in the morning. Exactly.
And that's a big point of why they don't want something big built on this
Right.
location, is because of that wide mountain view.
Holiday has a very specific, strict height
Requirement.
requirement or whatever, yeah. And I think a lot of that came from, I don't know if you guys remember, it's really close to the Cottonwood Mall. They're right across the street from Olympus Junior High School. There was a really big building. It was like a 12 or 14-story building, but it never got finished. And so it was just an eyesore forever and ever and ever and ever. And finally they demolished it. And now there's a fire station there. So I think the people, Holiday is, old family, old money, old neighborhood, there's a lot of just nostalgia or whatever. But those are the people that are voting, and they're making the decisions on whether you want to bring in new developments like the Cottonwood Mall. And if they get fussy about extra traffic or high buildings, then nothing's going to happen.
And I think the rich people don't want even richer people coming in to go step on their status, right? Because what they were planning with this development
That's
was,
just the Joneses.
What's that?
That's just the Joneses.
Yeah, they have to keep up even more, right? But this was going to have a theater, it was going to have a hotel, and then on top of it, they're planning like $2.5 million luxury penthouse type things in this location. So you can see why people wouldn't want, that kind of thing. If it's going to block the view, it's going to change the traffic, everything that goes into
The
that.
dynamic of
Change
the
just the
neighborhood.
landscape of the city.
Right.
Exactly.
I
yeah.
think the penthouse one is actually separate from that initial one that Ivory Homes did. I think we might have read the same article, but I think that article was in 2019, and so that's what they're trying to do now. And so the owners of the land, or the realty group, they are trying to stay within the zoning limits, because I think right now it's zoned that you can't have a building taller than 80 feet or something on that lot. And so they're saying, if we stay within all the zoning rules, then the people don't get to vote.
Yeah,
we can just build.
If we stick
what
to
we
code,
want
what are
already.
you going to do about it, right?
But can you imagine, like you were saying, a $2.5 million penthouse condo that's in like an 80-foot tall building? There's maybe 10 buildings in there or something. Nobody's gonna like downsize when they get older to pay $2.5 million to be in like a condo. It just doesn't make sense unless they're just trying to really bring in that money. I don't know. It seemed really out of place to me, but I think that's what they're trying to do now. Unless you've read something different.
Well, what the Holiday Journal in April, that this was, I don't know if you had a chance to read this one or not.
I don't think
this
so.
was the most recent news, I guess. So it's from Holiday. But they said they're planning 614 dwelling units and 714,000 square feet of commercial space, including office space, dining, and entertainment, along with an open park area. So a lot of people complain that they want like a park here. There's a lot of parks in the area. So, yeah, you can put in another park, but it's still... But,
that sounds like it's more recent then, because the one I was reading didn't say anything about a park. So
the point is, they can never come to a consensus on what they're going to do, because the people still have a voice, the voters, they're making the decisions, and like Nate said, one person comes in and makes a fuss, everyone else gets on the bandwagon, and
Yeah,
they
I
completely
remember
shut
he
it
said
down.
something. There's only like 30 people on Facebook shut it down. So
Wow.
do you know who owns that land? Were you able to find that anywhere? Because I couldn't find anything.
Oh, it's Trump. No, I'm just kidding.
I knew it.
It was part of the Howard Hughes Corporation that owns it.
Still, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, but they
Is that the guy that Leonardo DiCaprio played in that movie, The Aviator?
yes.
Yep.
Wow, that was a totally wild guess. I didn't know that that was a thing. He has a company.
The
that owns
inflection in
property.
your voice kind of
Yeah.
sounded sarcastic for a second.
Yeah, well,
You never
Howard
know
Hughes-
with me.
Yeah, Howard Hughes doesn't still own it. He's been dead for a long time.
Right, yeah.
But
The reason I
it is
asked
the
that is
company
'cause
he started. But
I wonder if the realty group holding on to it wants to. Well, I'm sure they do. They want to maximize the most profit that they can get out of that space.
Oh yeah, you want more
Oh,
density,
yeah.
right?
Yeah,
the more
sure.
units you put in there, the more money you make.
But
so
think about how
It's not
many.
a cheap property.
Yeah,
Not
think
at all.
about how many years they've lost though. Like I'm holding out for the max price.
Well, not
but in
even
the
that.
meantime, you're missing out on all this revenue you could have been making.
well, even the city, right? What are they missing out on taxes?
Yeah.
The city would be making boatloads of money off that property. You'd imagine, but gives me. You can hear me
But all-
grumbling my voice about
All of it really, though, compels in comparison to what we used to have, right? With the Cottonwood Mall. It was
Yeah.
I wish we
lots
had.
of nostalgia.
Oh yeah.
I wish we had something like that now. I don't know what kids do these days, when, they're bored and they get out of school and they want to go hang out with their friends. And I don't know, do kids even get out of school these days? I don't know. I don't have kids, but that was our spot, man. Like, we'd go like, oh, we don't need to do homework. Let's go to the mall and meet some girls. Let's go blow $10. $10 for me was like 2 weeks worth of allowance.
Yeah.
We'd go blow a bunch of quarters at the arcade or buy baseball cards. I used to buy Star Trek: The Next Generation. Had this they had like a role playing game, like kind of like Magic the Gathering.
It's like Pokemon cards, but for Star Trek.
Yeah. And I spent a lot of my stock money. My uncle got me some stocks when I was younger, and it's like, I'm selling these stocks, and we'll get some Star Trek cards. And like
One of those stocks happened to be Apple.
No, I wish.
That's what I was thinking. But you sold it. Now it's.
I got a lot of Star Trek cards. Say that.
We've
No.
seen how that's taken off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like the Tease N Keys. That's where you'd go to get like the
Your prank stuff.
the stink bombs, like
Incense.
man.
Yeah.
Incense. Yeah, you get those little whistles, and they were really little pipes. And I don't know what you put in those things. I just use it as a whistle. But they have like the stink bombs were the best, man. You go to the
if you were one of those people, you were not the best. I just want you to know.
I was definitely one of those people, man. You know what I'm talking
This
about?
is why you're eating all the soap that you ate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is also why Cottonwood Heights Mall closed. We're finding out CD had something to do with it.
Oh yeah, there's probably some stink bombs that went off in the mall too. Like, yeah, you got to quit selling those. They probably had some other weird name for it, some euphemism. Like, these are
Sulfur bottles or.
yes.
So I have to shout out, there's a group on Facebook called the Cottonwood Mall Rats, and that's a great place if you want to have some, aside from our podcast, listen to our podcasts to hear all about the nostalgia, but also go to the Facebook group, and there's a long-running post they have on there, asking people to go in and talk about their favorite store or just a memory of a favorite store. So there's a long list, and a lot of the places I hadn't heard of, I didn't hear of the Tease N Keys before that, or like I remembered ZCMIs, but that was years and years ago.
Hit us with some of that obscure knowledge.
Let's see. Anybody remember the Game Peddler?
Yeah.
That was one of the more recent
barely
places.
remember that.
Yeah, that was
go
a big,
trade in your video games there.
yeah, that was up on the
before
second
GameStop.
floor over by the JCPenney.
One of the favorites I found was the Betty Bra Bar, and their slogan was "We fix flats."
Wow.
You can never name a store that these
Yeah.
days. By the way.
No, absolutely not. What else we got? Camp Beverly Hills.
I don't
There's
remember
a
that one.
Skags. A lot of them, they just would shout it out. Couldn't find any information on what it was. A JMR.
JMR.
You guys talked a little bit about that.
JMR Chalk Garden.
That's where you
ready
got
to go
your
buy
Lucky-
Luckies and your Doc Martens.
Yep, Lucky Dungarees and Doc Martens.
That was in that back little section under that weird little stair
yeah.
alcove. Above
Do you think we
this.
could get these guys to draw a map of the mall?
Oh, dude.
You got some. Let's see.
Yeah.
Do you think you could draw
One
a
of my
map?
favorite places, because I was a real, and I still am. I'm a real geek. I was a good student. Believe it or not, I got really good grades, but I really enjoyed working and doing homework and stuff. Perry's Office Supply.
Yep.
Right next to the JCPenney. That's where you go to get your...
And the Payless Shoe Store and the Hallmark Store.
Yeah. And there was also that, the tropical place that you got all the...
Yeah, you
that's where
guys
got your-
definitely grew up by there.
That's where you got your Hawaiian board
I
shorts.
went to every single store there.
I'm sure that they did go to every single store. There's probably not a store you didn't go into.
Do you
Oh,
guys
yeah.
remember Hammond's?
Hammond's Toys.
Hammond's
So I
Toys.
have to ask you that.
Yes.
Everybody talked about a racetrack there. Do you guys remember that at all?
Yeah, I do remember. I would go in there. My favorite thing at Hammond's was they had the pewter figurines, and I guess people hand paint them. I just thought they were cool, like pewter. That just sounds like a bad word. Like, oh yeah, let's get some pewter. But they had these cool like Vikings holding an axe and trolls. Remember not the Micro Machines, but the little guys, the Muscle Men. Remember the Muscle Men's? Oh my gosh!
I don't remember
Nate,
those.
you remember Muscle Men?
I do not.
Holy crap! I can't believe you guys.
Were they like little
Little
tiny?
Stretch
Stretch Armstrong?
Yeah, they were just little tiny plastic.
Did they come out of a 25-cent machine like little homies back in the day?
I remember little
They
homies.
look like those, but no.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, Hammond Toys. I love that place. That was on the second story, right next to the Tease N Keys, right by the pretzel maker.
Yeah,
Oh,
a lot of
dude,
these places, like I said, never heard of them. There's the Chainery, the Paris Co. Got Raspberry Records.
Oh yeah, Raspberry Records,
Remember that one?
What did they sell there?
tapes,
No way.
So my
8 tracks.
tapes and CDs, man.
I was
Sam
talking
Goody?
to a friend yesterday who lived right by the mall as well. One place I mentioned was Leatherbees, and he mentioned another restaurant called American something or
Oh.
American Grill.
American
Yeah.
Grill.
Yeah.
Talked about that, but he brought up a point, not a point, but a story that there was a really good-looking local newscaster, and she was at the mall one day, and his friend worked at the mall, and he got a phone call from his friend like, so-and-so is here, and she's carrying a Victoria's Secrets bag. So they're just like,
Who was it?
I don't remember who
My
it was.
beeper
but
just
some
blew
really
up.
good-
911. 911.
Get over to the mall now. Remember you had to like call and pick up the phone off the wall.
Yeah,
Oh, those were the days.
So,
yeah. There
Those
was
actually were the days because with voicemail now, I kind of hate how everybody can get a hold of you. I kind of wish you still had. I guess I could just go get a landline, but I wish it was still the tape. You had to record on the
Yeah.
tape, and then make sure you didn't erase your greeting.
yeah. Remember I wanted to get a hold of want to hang out with Wade. I call Wade's house and he wasn't there. You just he'll call me back in a couple hours.
Yeah.
Now if you don't call me back within an hour, I'm like 911.
Is he alive?
I saw that
Are
you
you
read
okay,
my
Wade?
message, man. Like, what the heck?
Yeah.
Or you go ride your bike around and see where all the bikes are laying outside someone's house, and all right, there's where everybody's at.
yeah, that's how you found out or they're at the mall, right?
Yeah, if they weren't outside Chez's house, they were at the
Yeah.
mall.
Yep.
The last store I have to bring up, do you guys remember the Halloween store?
No.
No?
I remember there being a Halloween.
So the reason you don't remember the Halloween store is it was a store made up for a movie that was filmed at the Cottonwood Mall.
Oh,
I'm
no
glad
kidding.
I didn't say like, oh hell yeah,
That was my favorite.
non-existent fictional store. So I didn't know that they filmed is a TV show or a movie.
Yeah, so it was a Disney Channel original movie called Halloween Town High, and the movie was filmed in Utah, and I was watching it actually. We just watch a ton of Halloween movies for the season, and I was like, what is that mall? I knew that the movie was filmed in Utah, and I was watching, I was like, what is that, Southtown? I couldn't tell. And then doing some research, found out it was actually the Cottonwood Mall. So
Wow.
probably one of the last things that was done, probably the last thing filmed there.
Yeah, 98.
But here's a picture I'll just show you guys here. I'll post this on the social media too, but there's this news reporter talking about how there's a monster attack. And it says it's the Springview Mall, but if you look in the top corner, the cut.
Yeah, they didn't cut it. They cut it off right at the O.
Oh yeah, that was right outside. That's right outside the food court right
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, that's the entrance,
That's
right?
the main entrance.
Yeah,
That's where CD's red carpet is.
Yeah, you always stop in there for some TCBY yogurt, frozen yogurt, because you always get the free sample cup.
Was that Golden Swirl or TCBY?
It was TCBY for a while, and then they got bought out. Or
But then they had the
Scrubbed it.
Reds in the parking lot there. The Reds frozen yogurt one.
Here's another question too. We're going back to the arcade. So the arcade was right there when you came in the door off the left side, right?
Yes.
If you're
Right.
walking in the mall. Did they move the arcade at one point, like in the back part of the food court, or am I thinking of like a
no, that's,
different mall?
I think
or-
that's a fashion place.
I think in Fashion Place because they moved it like way away from the food court back into like the west corner or something.
Yeah,
like that.
yeah.
But speaking of movies, whenever I see like an '80s movie or something like that, and they're at the mall, I instantly go to Cottonwood Mall. My mind.
Yeah.
Anybody else
Yeah,
do
like
that
Stranger
too?
Things,
Stranger Things, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, Stranger Things, definitely.
So-
Mall Rats. Oh, instantly right now. Dun, 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 dun. Oh, I don't know why that
Well, maybe
song
what
came in my head.
you're
though.
remembering in the movie, they actually pulled an arcade out. Looks like in just like the middle where they normally would have the kiosks, and they have like just a makeshift arcade in there. But that's
Huh.
at least you can go back and watch part of that movie and see some scenery from. You can see the fountain in the background. You can see the food court where they're sitting in.
I'd
Takes you
be
back a little bit.
interested to see if we could dig up old promotional videos for the Cottonwood Mall.
Oh, I'd love that.
The guy, I don't know, I don't think I mentioned him, but there's a YouTuber named Dan Bell who just does all. If you want to see like what all these old malls look like, he travels the country and just films them. And he'll talk like a little bit and kind of explain things, but he kind of just walks through with like a 4K camera, and you can just look at all these malls that are either have died or in the process of dying, and they haven't changed since like the 80s. It's really cool. But he also plays a lot of promotional material about the mall in his intro. It'd be so awesome to find some of that with Cottonwood Heights. Somebody's got to have it. Dan Bell.
I've seen some old photos of Cottonwood Mall, and I don't even know how. Someone must have digitized some old photographs, actual.
Well, that's the thing.
Photos.
Nowadays, you have your phone, and there's pictures everywhere, right?
Yeah.
But who's actually taking their own old Kodak to Cottonwood Mall and taking pictures of everything, right?
Yeah.
And if it was a picture of a
They're out
person,
there somewhere.
CD was doing that.
Well, no, I wasn't, but I've found them. I've seen them recently. Like once a year, there'll be some old Cottonwood Mall
You
photos.
didn't take one picture at Cottonwood Mall.
I mean, maybe I did with a old disposable
yeah.
like what are those Nikon, not Nikon, Polaroid? I don't know.
isn't there a picture of you like playing in the fountain in the food court?
Oh yeah, jumping in the fountain, going, "Wee, free money, everyone! Come get the change. All the change is all yours."
I know we had video of it somewhere. When we were in high school, we actually built a life-size dummy and like fully dressed, whatever, and took it to the mall with us one day.
Like Weekend at Bernie's type of situation?
Exactly. At one point, we had it like laid out in a tree, just kind of like face down, like it had passed out, like just fell into the tree. You know, people walking by like, "You all right?" Like, "Yeah, you just had too much to drink. Don't worry about it."
That's awesome.
You know, and then we went that middle elevator you were talking about. We went and just slumped him in the back of the elevator and just left it. And then we kind of were set back. We'd set the camera up to record it. This guy comes up. He's up in the upper level. He's got like a toddler and then like a baby in a stroller. The door's open. He just kind of stands there and looks. Doors close.
I'm taking the stairs.
And he takes the stairs with the baby in the stroller and the toddler.
He's like,
Then at the point, we're like, we probably have to go get that thing out of there and get out of here.
Yeah.
Before Paul Buck comes.
Yeah. But then the camera fell out of the car and got destroyed, and
Oh, so you don't have the footage of it?
don't have the footage. Don't.
Oh man, I know. I do have footage of the Cottonwood Mall. I remember that's kind of when Jackass came around. I was like, Dad, for Christmas, I wanted
A video
a
game.
video camera, and I'm gonna record stunts of me and my friends doing stupid stuff. And of course, we always started at the mall because that was the easiest place to get the best reactions or whatever.
Yeah.
But I don't know what happened to that stuff. Look at Chez. Chez is so nostalgic right now. He's watching.
I'm trying to find footage of the Cottonwood Mall.
There's some
He's
videos
watching
you can find about the Cottonwood Mall. It's
sure.
hard because there's one in Albuquerque, which is still open. So if you search Cottonwood
Yeah.
Mall, you're going to get a lot of that stuff.
Ah.
But
Yeah, I came across that too, which was surprising. I was like, really?
I think I've done that. I've made that mistake too.
where's the Cottonwood? Why can you can't take
I
that
know.
from us?
There's no cottonwoods in New Mexico.
Yeah.
Come on now. Cactuses. Cactus wood.
Do you realize how much dirt they would have had to move to like get the mall all set back into the lot that way? Because wasn't there a giant wall on the back on the east side of that lot?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was huge.
The whole back side of the mall is a huge piece of property. We used to go four-wheeling back there all the time.
I wonder how much it cost to build.
In the
Did you
pits.
stumble across
Yeah.
that?
How much to build the mall?
Yeah.
I did not.
that's
Me
a good
neither.
question. Well,
No,
back
it had
in,
lots of owners, but
back
don't know how
in the
much it cost.
60s, who knows?
feel like-
$100,000.
Yeah. $1 million.
Two bits.
Now I feel like I want to go to the library, and I haven't felt that way in a long time. Like go look through the old newspapers.
What do they call the microfiche?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
microfilm.
microfiche. Yeah. I tried getting a library card the other day because I found this app that does free audiobooks. You just rent them from your
Yeah.
local library.
My
Yeah.
wife does that. Yeah.
Overdrive?
I think it's Libby.
Oh, Libby.
Mm-hmm.
But you can't get a library card right now, not till the 30th because of all this COVID stuff. It's kind of a bummer.
Yeah, I think that I don't know. I'll look because I'm really interested to see if I can find like a commercial for the grand opening or the grand opening ceremony on the news for the Cottonwood Mall or something.
I just
you
remember
know?
some Alex Trebek.
If I find
Jeopardy
it,
music.
I'll send it to you guys on Facebook. We can post it for everybody. But I think that would be there's got to be something out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, a big thing people have shared in the group is like some of the slogans they've used in the past, but no one has shared anything like that, like a commercial. YouTube just wasn't what it is now back in. So it says like even in 2004 it was mostly vacant. So it was going out for a long time before they completely pumped the brakes on it. So really sad.
Yeah. What was the last mall you guys been to in the last year or so? Or have you been to a mall in the last year or
Yeah,
two?
I went to Fashion Place during right before the kids were going back to school, and it was a nightmare. And I was like, no wonder COVID is going crazy. Like, nobody gives a crap here whether or not there's social distancing. Like, once they got in the store, they could care less. But that was just packed. It was my bad timing on my part.
I think I don't really get downtown very often, but the last one I went to was City Creek, and mostly I like to run. So there's a couple stores there that have like the Solomon store, and they replace your laces for free. And so I went got my laces replaced. But I don't know. I'm one of those people. I'm probably one of those people that are the death of the malls. I do a lot of stuff on Amazon.
Yeah.
So
City Creek is an amazing mall, though. Pretty pricey because it's downtown. I'm sure the real estate's not cheap, but the building down there is just one of the coolest. It's awesome that roof can open up,
Right.
it can close. Like,
Okay,
that's one of my favorite malls, I think, that I've ever been to.
just found some information here. Excuse me. So the mall was 543,000 leasable square feet at a cost of $14 million.
Wow.
a month.
Is when it was built. Well, they built it for a cost of $14 million.
1962, 3 for that
Yeah.
one was built.
Adjusted for inflation, how much is that?
Yeah.
It probably says
That's
it
a lot of
on
money.
Wikipedia.
And then that's probably when you could buy a house in Holiday for 20 grand, right?
Yeah.
No, probably like 8.
Maybe. Did you guys know, like, most malls, like, you've got your anchor stores, which did you bring that up already, Wade? The anchor stores?
Yeah,
you know,
about the anchors, yeah.
But, like, so they could call them fill-in or inline stores. A lot of times their lease incorporates that they have to give a percentage of their sales back to the owner of the
Really?
mall. So they have
Yeah.
to use their, what do you call them? Pay machines, whatever you call them.
Yeah. Like
So I wanted
point
that
of
part of
sale
it.
system.
What's that?
Point of sale system.
Yeah, point of sale. Yeah, so you have to use their registers is what I was looking for. So I wonder if that's part of the reason that it's kind of died out is because you got online now that you can do, and you don't have to give a portion of your profits away to somebody else.
That makes me curious about the malls that we currently have. If they're still that way, or maybe they dropped that model, and so
Maybe.
everybody's like, okay, I will just stay in the mall then. There's no reason to. Because that would seem really weird, but then again, you're not going to fund a 400 and what? How many thousand square feet?
543,000.
You're not going to fund that building with just one person back in the 60s. You know what I mean? It took those 3 giant stores probably to fund that whole thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and the first 3 were was the Albertsons, a bowling alley,
Oh yeah, there's
and
a
then
bowling alley.
the ZCMI.
No kidding. I had no idea there was a bowling alley there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's wild. I wish it was there when I was going in there. I remember when it was always embarrassing. So growing up, my mom was a smoker, and you could smoke in the courtyard. And I was like, Mom, I don't want any of my friends to see me. But it's that's I don't anyway. Just I've been going
Smoking
to the,
section of the continent.
yeah. It goes back that far when you could smoke inside places in Utah, which that seems like a
You could do that?
forever. Yeah, forever.
Well, I
ago.
remember you went to restaurants back when we were kids. They'd ask you want the smoking or
Smoking or
non-smoking,
non-smoking,
Yeah,
right?
that and
So-
also
that
they
wouldn't
had
even
that
happen
with
in
the on
Utah.
airplanes too. But they had that section in the Cottonwood Mall, but I don't ever remember a bowling alley. That's
Now you
crazy.
can't even breathe in an airplane or a restaurant.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, nowhere. Have a mask on.
At least we don't have to carry around like all of our oxygen supply with us. It's not that bad yet.
Not yet.
So,
So yeah, that's the Cottonwood Mall. A lot of great memories. We'd love to hear from you on social media what you remember about this wonderful old place.
what your favorite store was or memory of Cottonwood Mall.
Yeah. And thanks again to you guys for being here and talking with us about your memories and
Thanks
sharing
for
those with us.
Thanks for the trip down memory lane.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you guys so much. It was a lot of fun.
Well, thanks again for listening to This Is a Place podcast.
See you next week.